Hi, everybody. My name is Ariel Serkin. I'm a chemistry teacher and a modeler who teaches at Cambridge Ringe and Land School in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I've been modeling only since 2015, but everything has changed since then. You might have seen me for my involvement in STEM Teachers Mass Bay. I have been leading also AMTA chemistry modeling instruction workshops through STEM Teachers Mass Bay for several years. I also am currently involved in leading the Intro to Modeling instruction class for AMTA and have been involved with other organizations such as ChemEd Exchange and AACT. As a modeler, one of the things I've been working on for the past several years is how to give effective feedback to my students. And it's changed. I used to give these detailed handwritten comments on student paper. I marked it all up, tried to have them reflect on what they were doing and how to learn in the future. And then I watched in sadness as those papers would be crumpled up, thrown on the floor, put into folders, and never to be seen again. So then I said, okay, what if I leave the answer keys in the class for students to be able to go correct their own work, and then they could get immediate feedback and have their scores pretty quickly. But again, we saw there was no reflective feedback. They weren't able to really look at what they did because the focus was on the grade, not on really what they knew. Then last school year hit. I didn't know what to do. There was very little paper. I had both in-person and remote students. Each class of mine had fully in-person, fully remote, week A cohort, week B cohort. I couldn't keep track of who was coming in for what. How was I going to give effective, meaningful feedback? It made me redesign what I was doing. And I considered what made for effective feedback. I knew the feedback had to be specific. I knew it had to be timely and towards the learning goal of the students. I decided I was going to mandate reflection. I'd already started trying to do things like that. I had used other modelers for ideas, and I know that modelers like Erica Postuma had reflective feedback on assessments and on assignments so they could think, how well did they learn it? How well do they understand it? So I had already that embedded in my ideas, and I wanted to expand on that. So because I was fully virtual, I'm like, I can give detailed typed comments. I could thoughtfully write on the Notability app with my iPad, or I can type individual comments, and then the students could just look at the grade and the LMS, and they would completely disregard everything that I said. Still wasn't helping. Okay, so then I'm like, how can I do this better? How can I make this more effective for me? And how can I make this better for the students? I used a tool called Moat to give audio comments. And then I made students listen to the comments and do Google form reflection. And then I had them say what was the best way for them to receive feedback. And surprisingly, they all said they wanted handwritten comments or they wanted typed comments. They didn't like the voice note. And I've done a lot of reflecting. And one of the things that we do as modelers is we make the students do the doing. We make them engaged in how they're thinking and how they are learning, and we make them part of the learning process. I wanted to do the same for student reflection. I wanted to be able to facilitate their learning and encourage their metacognition and reflective purposes. So I changed it up. We know that learning is hard. We need to force our brains to engage. Too much feedback for students is overwhelming. It's not engaging. And for some students, it's just disheartening. Too many comments on a written page were sending them out. They were shutting down and they were not being able to do what needed to be done. It was too much for them to process. They lost the point, they tuned out, and they didn't pay attention. So I pulled back. I gave very general feedback. I provide typed or audio comments with notes. These days I'm doing more general handwritten comments as we're back in person. I've provided students with the answer key because I modify my assessments each time. And the important thing is I'm forcing them to do a detailed reflection. What do I mean? Something like this. I set it up so students would have to identify their successes. And then make them think, why did you succeed here? And I always start with successes because it's too easy to look for the areas of growth. So let's celebrate the positives. What are you doing well at? And it could be, I'm really great at drawing particle diagrams. And then they can look for their areas of growth. And then you make them look for what steps you're going to do. There was also a lot of try to pull them out. How did they prepare? And too often the students are looking at prepare as study, and that's too vague. What does that mean? For too many students, it is looking at studying as reading what's their notes, or reading the notes at the same time that they're watching Netflix. We all do the same thing. So how are they going to learn, and how are they going to grow? My students grew. Some of it was specific skills. I rushed through my work. Some students say, I am working towards using the proper units and variables. I'm doing practice problems. Students could reflect on how well they were doing. It's not perfect. I'm still learning. Not every student does it, and it takes time. What do you do about the students who still won't do it? How do you get them to learn and reflect? I'm not sure. I'm working on it. Like many modelers, I'm really interested in cognitive science. I've read books such as Make It Stick, Why Students Don't Like School, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow, and using resources like retrieval practice. And I've also relied on many, many modelers to help me think and grow and learn and do more, and really help our students achieve the best that they can. I'm no expert, but I love doing what I'm doing and helping my practice grow as an educator.